Good morning, guys. Welcome to the call. We are going to cover a lot of basic strategies for success at remote final expense sales today. One of the important things to me, if I'm on the phone, I want to have my little straight line selling cheat sheet for each carrier together. I want a cheat sheet that has all kinds of information on the carrier, including, let's say, if you're going to do a loop, you're going to overcome an objection, and you're doing American Amicable. You're going to talk about how old they are, how big a company they are, how many people they've got working for them, little stuff like that. Just talking about everything, their rating through AM Best, even talk about AM Best. Like, that's something you guys got to put together on your own. That's one thing I haven't done for you. When you're new, first week, first couple of weeks on the platform, really just try to concentrate on like maybe three main carriers. So for example, with American Amicable, they'll cover 0 to 85 years old, I believe. So you got one carrier that'll pretty much cover pretty much anybody, and their modified product is very competitive. You can't be afraid to write that modified product, especially selling over the phone. And then you've got Great Western, for example, for people that are 40 to 80. So even between those two carriers, you're ready to go. Like, if you're new, don't try to get overwhelmed with, well, I need to be ready for if I have to use Royal Neighbors, or if I have to use a different carrier. You don't need to. To me, you're brand new, really concentrate on a couple of carriers that'll pretty much do everything for you. Now, the situation's going to pop up where you're going to have maybe a replacement scenario, or you're competing, and now you do have to get into that Royal Neighbors. And you know what? Sometimes, I hate to say it, sometimes you're just not going to be prepared because you're new at this, and you're throwing yourself into the fire. But my point is, don't let it get into your head that you have to be ready with all these carriers, and if you didn't, like, let's say, do a practice application on Royal Neighbors, and you have to do it a first time. There's a first time for everything. You kind of have to accept the good with the bad. That's all part of the learning curve, guys. One of the things that I recommend doing, that I know some of the agents do, is kind of like a morning warm up. Kind of go through part of the presentation, just like you're speaking with the client. Warm up your voice, be prepared. I can tell you, when I used to travel all over Florida, and maybe I know Mitchell's on the call, maybe he can relate to this, but one of the things I always did, especially early on, was I'd be driving a couple hours. I would do my presentation. I'd say the presentation in the car while I was driving, just to be warmed up, just so that I'm not ice cold when I get out of the car. For telesales, I highly recommend that. Doesn't matter whether you're new, you've been doing this for years, what have you. Another thing, in the morning, before you start your day, log into like the carrier applications and all the apps that we use. Now, they're going to log out, but that's why you want to make sure you have your passwords all auto-saved. That's really the main thing. So have everything auto-saved so you're not fumbling and bumbling around. If you do have to do that first Royal Neighbors app, for example. Objections. Guys, getting an objection is part of the sales process. The sooner you accept that and don't just sit there wishing the next one's going to be low-hanging fruit, they're going to be ready to buy and no object. You can't think like that. You have to accept that they're all going to say, well, I need a couple days to think about it. Can I get back to you? You just need to be prepared to do your straight line selling, to do your looping when they do that. They're all going to say, well, I got to talk to my kids first before I do anything. You need to just be prepared for when they say that. If you are, and you're building value at the back end of the sale instead of up front, because that's when we do it. They give us the objection. Now we're building rapport, we're building value, we're overcoming the objection, and we're going back to, can I make a suggestion? If you're prepared for that, then you are going to do better, especially when you're new. If you are not, and if you are not accepting those objections as simply part of the application process, you're going to have issues. When I was new in sales, I'm bringing this up because I remember I was brand new, and I was like, that's why I used to think, oh, please don't give me an objection. I'm just not really ready. Just be ready. Do the work. Put in the time. You do not want to be a salesperson. You want to become a sales professional. and as far as telesales is concerned, what we refer to as a closer. For the first couple of months, I highly recommend new agents work every Monday through Friday, no matter what, and maybe even a couple of like half Saturdays. Those are free appointments, free leads. Because remember, we're going to cut your ads off sometime on Thursday night. So if the client, think about this, if the ad is running on Thursday night and your client actually works on Friday and they see the hours that are available on the calendar and they don't work for them, by picking Saturday up, by just opening the calendar 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday, you're going to get appointments of people that would have clicked away. Now, of course, by this time they've filled out the lead form, because you're calling the leads, right? Everybody on this call is calling the leads too, not just the appointments, right? Right? Exactly. We know you are. So keep in mind, you want to get those extra appointments. By doing that, by opening that half a day Saturday, your cost per lead, your cost per appointment is going to come down. You're getting a better return by doing that. It's like, and that's why I say, to me, a half a Saturday, it's like free leads. It's like free appointment day. That's really the way that I look at it. If you make the mistake of being new, let's say you sell for a week or two and then you skip a week or two, this is going to deter your learning curve. It's actually going to probably cause you more issues, because now you're not getting any momentum going. And not only that, but if you're new and you're just learning, like you've never sold insurance products before, things that you did a couple of weeks ago, you're going to start to forget. Believe it or not, that's our brains can only take so much information before we start losing information. I'll give you an example. This is a real crazy example. When I used to live in South Florida, I had a floor safe for years. For years, I had this floor safe. It was hidden. It was stashed. When I was studying for my life insurance exam, you guys know how much information that is. Right before I was ready to take the test, I needed to get something out of the safe, and I forgot the passcode. I forgot the combination, excuse me. I'm telling you, I waited, weeks went by. I kept trying to figure, I never wrote it down because I knew it for years. It was like I had put so much information into my brain trying to learn how, preparing for the test, for the 215 exam for the insurance license, that I literally started losing information. And that was crazy. That's something like almost every week I would open that thing up. So the fact that I lost an important number, it was kind of like forgetting your date of birth. My point is, your brain can only take so much information. So when you're new at something, you skip a week or two when you're first starting, it's only going to set you back. And especially if you're having a hard time getting momentum going, it could literally knock you out of the business. Like you could end up, that third week could be that make it or break it week. You take it off, then you come back the fourth week. It's like starting all over. Don't make the mistake of doing that. Now, I want to give you guys a tip. With our calendar platform, the more hours, I talked about Saturday, the more hours you open it up, the lower your costs per lead and your cost per appointment will be. If you're new, brand new agents just starting, and you guys know who you are, you really want to open that calendar up about 10 hours. I would say even 10 or 11 hours at least, and that's per day, Monday through Friday, for your first couple of months. So by doing this, the algorithms are all going to be in your favor. It's like you're doing everything you can to make this system work better for you. And now your learning curve is going to be shorter. And that's the important thing. So now, if normally, it's funny, I speak with newer insurance agents, and maybe they've been with one agency and things didn't work out. They made some presentations, they made a couple of sales, then they ended up, I know this sounds familiar. A lot of us go through this. They end up at another agency. They make a few presentations with that program. They maybe make a couple of sales. And here they are a year later, and they still don't know what they're doing. With a system like ours, if you follow the tips, the suggestions that I'm giving you, your learning curve is going to be a lot shorter than most insurance agents. Like you could literally, everything that you've been working on the past couple of years with us, you can figure it out and push through it and learn within a month. These tips, these suggestions, that's what they are, guys. As always, I'm making suggestions. You're making all the decisions. If you follow them as if they were rules, you are going to have so much more let me use the right words. By following them, the chances of you being successful are going to be a lot higher and a lot quicker too. Sometimes when I listen to the recordings, the client answers the phone, you say hello, and it's kind of like this. It's like this dance to get to communicate. It's like you're almost fumbling and bumbling to catch up to them. It is very important not to do this. When they answer the phone and you hear them say hello, even if they answer the phone and it's dead air, and then usually what happens is then they'll go, hello? Then you start speaking. By doing this, remember, guys, you only have like 5 seconds. It says it in the book, right? You have about 5 seconds to make that first impression. If you fumble and bumble through the first 5 seconds, and let's say you do, and you don't fix it within the next 5 seconds, you've already gotten an impression to the client that they're going to be stuck with. It's an underlying thing. So in other words, they may not sit there and think, oh, is this guy an idiot? They may not think that, but in the back of their mind, they're like, okay, this doesn't sound right. Okay, now you're starting to sound right, but you didn't at first. Trust me, that stays with them, guys. You got 5 seconds. Make a good impression. Do a very smooth presentation. Sound professional and be prepared. Another thing that I hear on some of the calls, guys, when the prospects are talking, especially when they're telling you a story and they're sharing something about themselves, make sure you listen and take advantage of this opportunity and don't interrupt them. In normal conversation, I think it's normal. We all want to be part of the conversation. Whatever's going on, there's this natural instinct for us to jump into the conversation. When we're with a group of friends, family members, we're all doing that. My wife pointed out something to me, says, Steve, I owe you an apology. Last week, when you were doing the interview, you were answering a question, and then I interrupted you about something. I wanted to make a statement. So, I bring that up because I caught myself doing it. And my wife pointed it out to me too. And I was like, yeah, I know, honey. I know. I shouldn't have done that. My point is, when you catch yourself doing that, stop. Use that as a learning situation. Let these folks talk. Now, hold on. Don't let them take you hostage. We don't do that. We don't do any hostage negotiations here. In other words, you got a yapper. You got someone who keeps interrupting you and they can't stop talking. You have to control the call. You have to take control. You've got to interrupt them and stop them. So that's a different situation. But my point is, let these folks talk. Let them share stuff with you. The more they share, the more comfortable they get with you, the better. Your chances of closing that sale just went up exponentially. The first couple of weeks, guys, for brand new agents is like, it's all learning curve. It is all, you're in the fire, it's trial by error. And unfortunately, there's only so much we can do to prepare for that. But here's the thing, by week 3, you should feel comfortable. You should feel more relaxed, and the process should be a lot easier. And guys, this is assuming that you are working, both the appointments that are set and the leads of people that didn't set the appointment. Look, guys, you have to give yourself a break. You're going to do a little fumbling. There's going to be mistakes will be made. I promise you. Don't sweat it. Nobody's perfect. We all make the mistakes, especially in the first couple of weeks. So just keep that in mind. Give yourself a break. Finally, I do want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can text or you can just go and interrupt. But the last thing I do want to bring up is it's important, as Steve said the other day, to listen to your recordings, to work on yourself. There's a reason some agents are doing better than they were a few months ago, and other agents are kind of in the same place. I feel that, and I'm not saying, it's the only reason, but I'm saying the more that you put into your insurance business, that you put into yourself, into learning, into getting better at what we do, basically, mastering the art of persuasion, the better you get at that, the better it is for everybody. It's win-win, but it does take some work. And one of the things you've got to do is listen to yourself. Do I sound right? Is that the way I want to sound? I am telling you, when you listen to your own recordings, you're going to hear yourself saying things and doing things that you don't even realize you're doing. So please, guys, definitely listen to your recordings. Does anybody have any questions or even something that, maybe that you'd like to add to this? Because I know it's a lot of little pieces of information, and that's the way this call is designed. But does anybody have anything? I guess everybody's ready to either hit the road or get on the phone. Easy enough, guys. Look, I hope everybody has an awesome week. Please reach out to me if you need anything. If I owe you an email, maybe text me and say, hey, Doug, you never did this, because last week got kind of crazy and busy. If you need help with anything, reach out to me before you reach out to Brandon. We've got him really busy. So we're both there for you. Don't get me wrong, but try to reach out to me first, I would say. And once again, everybody have a great week. Happy hunting.